with Destiny. What are we doing?
Today, we're going to talk about our personal paranormal experiences. So, I don't want to say it's how I got into paranormal, but like my first real experience, when I was a little girl, my mom had a Ouija board, okay? And she would have a friend or so come over sometimes, and they would do Ouija board stuff at our kitchen table. And I remember asking her about it, and she kind of explained it to me as, you know, it's this board, it's got this little, I don't know, thing, I don't remember how she said it, and you talk to dead people. And I'm like, I don't understand. She said everyone puts 2 fingers on it, and it moves, and it spells things, it can answer yes or no questions. And I was like, that sounds dumb. It sounds made up. It just does. It sounds like crap. It sounds like bullshit. And I can't remember how old I was at the beginning. I don't even have a guess. But like I said, her girlfriends would come over sometimes, and they would do that at our table, our kitchen table. And I'm like, yeah, that's dumb. And I would say probably when I was maybe 10, 11, 12, she was gone in the evening, and I don't remember where she went. This is a minute ago. But I went to her bedroom, and I got the Ouija board out of her bedroom, and I took it to my bedroom, and I sat it on my bed. And still in the mindset of this is garbage. I've
never played with a Ouija board.
This is my only experience thus far. We will at some point, but anyway. I still just thought it was crap. I thought one of the girls that were playing was like pushing it or pulling it or whatever, making the thing go. And I wish I remember what the thing was called. It's got a name. I'm sorry out there. Comment below. I have no idea. Anyway, that's what I legitimately felt about it, but I'm like, I'm going to try it out, right? I'm going to prove myself right, prove that one of these other ladies was moving it. You know, this is garbage, right? So like I said, I took it to my bedroom, I opened it up on my bed, I put my 2 little fingers on it, and I asked it the question. And I do not remember what the question was. I do remember, though, very firmly, the 3 circles and saying hello. Okay? Because you're supposed to say hello, and then you're supposed to say goodbye, right? I remember doing the circles to say hello, and then I asked the question. And I do not remember what the question was. I wish I remembered what the question was. But I asked the questions, and I sat there with my 2 fingers. And I kid you not, that thing moved. It moved all by itself. It moved forcefully. It pulled my fingers. Scared the bejeebies out of me. I fucking flung back, pulled my hands off it. Scared me so badly. I like kicked the board with my feet, threw it off my bed. Probably cried. I remember shaking. Like I was shook. And some time passed, and I boxed that sucker back up, and I put it back in my mom's room, and I never touched it again. But that was like my first realization of maybe there is something else out there. That was like eye-opening. And like I said, I was like, 10, 11, 12.
No, that would freak me.
But it scared me. I was home alone. It scared me. And I have not touched one since.
Yeah, I watched, what is it? The one that's like, shoot, I should know this movie. The one that's, it started with a Ouija board, and then she got possessed. Like,
that sounds like a lot of movies.
No, like the first, like, scary movie that freaked people out.
Oh, yeah, I'm not sure.
The Exorcist. The Exorcist. That's how The Exorcist started. Like, she was playing with a Ouija board.
Okay.
And then she got possessed by the devil. So I watched that at a very young age, so I was like, always like, oh no, Ouija board. So I think that's like your experience with it. Like, it was normal. Like, your mom did it. So it was like, oh, this is nothing. Like, oh, it's not real. Like, so that makes sense.
In my head,
that makes sense. Yeah.
So what's your first experience? Or an experience? That's not your first.
Okay. an experience, which was like in I don't know, I would say it's not supernatural, it's just like at a very young age. So I lived in a family home with like my grandmother had purchased the home and she had it for like so many years, and then like her brothers lived there. She had like 3 brothers. So no, her sons. Sorry, not her brothers. Her sons.
Okay.
Or her son, I should say, lived there, and he used to have seizures. So it's normal for him to have a seizure.
Okay.
So
okay.
it's one day he had a seizure, and no one took him like super serious because he would always have a seizure.
Yikes.
And he died in our living room.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So
oh my goodness.
I guess I always feel like he was always around. Like there was always a presence
You can maybe
there.
feel the energy or something. Okay.
So that's kind of my first experience. And I say my second experience was, I don't know if this, yeah, it's probably my second experience was when I was like very young. I don't know how old I was, maybe like 7 or so. Like I had a very vivid dream of my mom, and she got shot.
Oh.
And I was like over her body, right? And it was like really dramatic, and I didn't know where that came from. And honestly, it could have been a memory, because later in life, I found out my mom, she actually got shot. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So you maybe were there.
I don't know. But in the
interesting.
dream, I was like a certain age, right? When I was like 7 or so. But I would have been like younger than that. I don't even know if I was born, actually.
I wonder if it was before you were born.
It might have been before I was born. So I don't.
Interesting. Now I want to deep
I've
dive.
had a couple instance where I had like premonitions type dreams that have come to fruition. So I'm like, to this day, I'm like, well, was I just young, and then in the dream I was like processing that out because maybe I blocked it out, or was I remembering something that I wasn't even there for?
Oh my goodness! Now I want to deep dive. I want to find out when mom was shot.
Yeah. I mean, she would know. I could definitely ask her, but yeah. So I was born in the 90s, so I honestly think she might have been. It might have been like late 80s, so she might have even been. I don't think she was pregnant, but she, like, it might have been like a couple years before I was even conceived.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So, like, I don't know if it's the next experience, but an experience I have.
Okay.
I got married super, super young. Was a baby, teenager. And we moved into this house. And it was built late 1800s, not quite 1900s. It was an old house.
Yeah.
And kind of the reason I picked the house is it had stained glass, like above the bay window or whatever you call it. That's why I picked the house. But not only was it a super, super old house, it was across the street from, it was a Catholic church, a Catholic school. So there was this Catholic church, there was a Catholic school. So basically, not quite the nunnery, but the nuns ran the Catholic school. And then the
and like half of the scary movies we watched
something with nuns or Catholic
churches for sure. That's what I was gonna say.
So like looking out my front door out this beautiful bay window with the stained glass was the Catholic school. Which by the time I moved there, it wasn't open anymore. It was kind of abandoned. But it was the Catholic school, which the nuns ran, the Catholic church, and then, I don't know if you call it a parsonage in Catholicism, whatever, but where the priests lived. So that was what my house faced. Okay. We lived there not a very long amount of time. My spouse at that time worked nights, so I was home alone all night long, every night, 6 nights a week. Our front, so like I said, the living room of the house faced out, and what we faced was the Catholic school. So we had a big window with the stained glass above it, and then our front door, which was almost a solid wood door, except for a really small window at the top of it. Okay. One particular night, home alone, totally normal. I was sitting on our couch and watching our TV, which again was that front area kind of facing forward.
Yeah.
I saw a older gentleman, had to be very tall older gentleman, walk past the front door, but he did not walk past the bay window where the stained glass was.
Yeah.
Scared the bejeebies out of me. Because I'm like, I'm home alone and there's a strange man on my front porch.
Super scary.
So
you're
I
like, where did he go?
Right, where did he go? So I'm thinking he's still like standing somewhere near the front door, just maybe off to the side before where the window is. Never knocked on the door, never rang the doorbell. I eventually kind of peeked out and looked and didn't see anybody. Startled me, but that was kind of the extent of it. I probably told my spouse when he got home. He probably blew me off. I don't really remember. But that became a pattern. It happened frequently. It was very, very often that I would see the same and he was older gentleman, walk past the front door, never made it past the patio door. And it happened for several years. And it eventually stopped. And what I correlated that to was we remodeled pretty much our entire house. And we added on to it. We changed the footprint of the house. We did a lot of work to that house. We lived there for a number of years. And I think in my mind, he was someone that probably previously lived there, probably had passed. He was coming home. That was my imagination, or my thoughts process of it, that he was coming home. And then when the house didn't look like his home anymore, he stopped coming home. That was kind of
interesting.
Yeah.
That's definitely interesting.
But he was definitely an older gentleman. He was very, very tall. He had gray hair, short haircut. He didn't have glasses. I could only see like his shoulders was like a dark blue kind of, I would assume blue collar, like mechanic kind of shirts. But it happened for years, to the point like it didn't scare me anymore. It happened so frequently. Like I would just see him and just be like, oh, okay, there he is. And then eventually he just stopped.
Just became normal.
Yeah, it very much became normal. It like the first, I don't know, dozen times probably it just gave me the fright. But then it was nothing. It was just every other day, and then it didn't happen anymore.
Yeah, that would definitely spook me out.
But I was a child. Like I was, 16, 17, 18. Like I was a baby.
Yeah, it was pretty young.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Like that reminds me, I don't remember how old I was. I probably was like, maybe I was like 19, 18, 19, same amount of years. So I had my sister-in-law had a father. He used to come by like the house I grew up in, right? So, it wasn't weird to see him. One day I saw him walking past me and he didn't say anything, which wasn't totally not normal, but I'm like, that's interesting. I didn't find out till like days later he went missing. And they didn't know where he was. And then in my mind I'm like, I should tell them like, I saw him a couple of days ago or whatever. He had drowned. They found his body like in a body of water.
Oh my goodness. I
like
got goosebumps.
Days later. And like I'm not like someone who like invites like, cause I'm like afraid of ghosts. So I'm like, if I would have known, I would have freaked out.
Right,
But
it
I
would've
didn't
scared
know at
you.
the time that
Oh
he
my
had
goodness.
already been missing and he had already died. Like
Oh my
I didn't
goodness.
I didn't know, but like it was so vivid that I'm like, no, I know I saw him for sure. Like,
Oh
it-
my goodness.
yeah.
Yeah.
it like freaked me out.
Oh
like
yeah.
after
For
the fact, I
sure.
never like I didn't tell anybody because I'm like, no, like they're gonna think I'm crazy. But I'm like, no, I know I saw him because I know like it was normal to see him. And like I said, I was about like 18, 19 years old. So it's
Oh my
like,
goodness. Yeah, no, that is.
yeah.
Yeah.
You got another story for me?
Yeah. So that same house, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of my daughters had many experiences when she was a little girl. I would say she was between 3 and 5, maybe 6. And she would see people at the Catholic school across the road from our house. She would hear them. She would talk to them.
Mm-hmm.
She has no recollection of it now at all.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but she'd like be playing in the front yard and come tell me, like, oh, I saw 2 people. They were back. They were across the street. They were doing this, whatever. And at that point, I'm like, oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I understood. There's a lot of activity, whatever that meant. There was a lot of activity in that building. But yeah, she constantly saw things. She was like my super intuitive child, and now she's like my
Gotcha.
super like blocked all that out, like doesn't even
Yeah.
necessarily believe
I mean,
anymore, kind of
you
a thing.
try to like, oh, like let me rationalize these.
Yeah.
Rationalize.
Yeah. She also would
rationalize.
have dreams.
Mhm.
When we lived in the state we live in
Mhm.
now,
Yeah.
she was a teenager and she'd had like a really vivid dream. I don't really remember all of it. I wonder if she does, but something along the lines of like being angry and maybe fighting with her sister and being
Mhm.
outside and breaking an alcohol bottle. Okay. So she had this whole vivid dream. She told me about it.
That's great.
In this specific alcohol bottle. She
Mhm.
remembered in her dream breaking this specific alcohol bottle. And she tells me about it, I think the day after she probably had the
Mhm.
dream. And like I think that was the next day. So not the morning after the dream, but the day after that, I had went just into the area where we had alcohol, and that specific alcohol bottle was broken.
Oh wow.
Like it had been
Crazy.
broken, and there was glass. Like I had to throw it away because there was
Mhm.
glass inside the alcohol. But I was like, okay, that's bizarre.
Mhm.
I have zero explanation for that one. But the same like intuitive child.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's great. And like we talked about stuff, but like these stories, like you told me about the Ouija board. I heard
Mhm.
about the Ouija
Yep,
board.
yep.
I've like that's the only story I ever heard you tell
Really?
me about.
Oh,
So,
I didn't
like,
tell you about the house? Oh, that's
No,
crazy.
no,
that's
you
like
didn't
my
tell me
that's like
about
my
the
second big
No, you never told me about the
Yeah.
house or anything.
Yeah.
And like I kind of like, cause it's trauma and stuff. Like, so I told you my mom had been shot.
Mhm.
And I don't remember if it was before I was born or what, but my mom was shot again after I was born.
Oh my goodness.
So like, I know
poor mom. Wow.
that's why I'm like it's a lot of trauma. I'm like trying to bring it out, but I think it's relative to like
Right, it's relevant to the
my dream. Like
Mhm.
it could have been like before or whatever, or it could have been after that dream, and that was after the dream, right?
right.
That she was shot. She was
Okay.
shot before the
Oh,
dream,
interesting.
and then she was. So I don't really know what incident it
Right,
was.
it could have been either
And
or.
then I have like another like premonition type, which I just like rub it off like, okay, you were a kid or whatever. When I was a kid, and it's like the dumbest like thing that I kind of like whatever. I had a dream that. Okay, I know I'm dating myself.
Oopsie.
I was a kid, and I was literally putting a video into the VCR. If you remember what a VCR is, and I put it in backwards, and I broke the VCR, and my sister was so mad at me. So then I woke up, And then, you know, you go on with your day. And then I remember, like, oh, okay, like, VCR, I was like, okay, I want to watch this one movie. And I did the same exact thing. I put a video into the VCR, and my sister was so mad at me.
Oh my
But I
God.
remember, like, oh,
This
this is
happened
just,
already.
this happened in my dream. Oh, no. But, like,
Oh, you didn't realize like the gravity of it. Like,
no, but as a
Oh.
kid, like, stuff like that kind of happened a little bit. But, like, as a kid, and, like, you remember things, but as an adult, you try to rationalize it.
Sure.
Rationalize it.
Yep.
So where it's like, oh no, like you made that happen, or like, but certain events or whatever that stick with you. Like I said, with my mom getting shot, with like just my uncle dying in our like family house, and just feeling like
Feeling it there.
energy.
Yeah.
Because like I think of myself as an empath. I very much feel emotions. With my like my sister-in-laws, her father, like those situations like stick with you, and like they kind of like, well, these are like things you. I feel like I haven't been able to really explain them,
Mhm.
so they imprint on me.
Right. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I understand that. So I had a piece of furniture talk to me.
Wow. We're getting deep now.
Which sounds different than what happened, but
Yeah.
also that's what happened.
Uh-huh.
That's the logistic of it.
Mm,
Like my whole life, I kind of wanted. I don't know. I would call it like a makeup table. All right.
Mhm.
So like, you know, a place that you like had a mirror and somewhere you could do your makeup. Right. It's something I wanted from a child. Probably something I saw in you know, something I wanted for Christmas. Anyway, as an adult, it's kind of always, you know. Okay. So I lived in a different state at that point than where I reside now. I was going to visit somebody,
Okay.
and so to get to this person, I had to drive through an alley.
Mm.
Okay, and they lived about halfway down the alley. So the beginning part of the alley was like a garage. Okay, that faced where the entrance to the alley was instead of facing the street.
Mm-hmm.
And I had driven through that alley, oh my gosh, hundreds of times.
How old were you?
I was
Well, like what, like stage of your life?
yeah. So I was an adult. I had children.
Okay, you had already had kids.
Yeah.
and stuff,
So
you're an adult.
yeah.
Okay.
And I had driven because this was a family member, so I had driven this alley 100 times. I'd driven past this garage 100 times.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was not abnormal. Drove through there.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, they lived about halfway in, drove past this, and like the garage would be open some of the time. So this particular day,
Mm-hmm.
I'm heading down the alley, and I see like something catches my eye,
Okay.
and I get this feeling. I can't describe it to you, but I like stop and I look in this garage that I've seen the inside of a million times, and there's this piece of furniture, and it isn't exactly like a makeup table,
Okay.
but it definitely is some sort of structure with a mirror. Okay, and I'm like, my God, that's beautiful. Has that always been there? I don't remember that being there.
Yeah.
Like, why is that there? It's
Yeah.
so pretty, right? Okay. That was the end of it. Go do my visit, blah, blah, blah. I cannot stop thinking about this piece of furniture. At all. I cannot. I think about it multiple times a day for days and days and days and days and days. To the point, and granted, you don't know me, you don't know how this is outside of my norm,
Yeah.
but I legitimately find the owner of the garage on Facebook message the owner of the garage on Facebook and say, hey, I saw this piece of furniture in your garage. Are you using it? Would you be interested in parting with it? That's not
very intense.
Not who I am.
I'm like, yeah, I can't see you doing that.
Right? That's not who I am.
Yeah.
And I think a couple of days later, the person responds and is like, well, that's my daughter's. I'll have to ask.
Interesting.
I'll get back to you. I'm like, okay, cool. And the person does. They get back to me. And they're like, yeah, we'd be willing to part with it for, X amount of money. I'm like, down. Sold. Bye.
Yeah.
Went and got it. It's this beautiful antique piece of furniture. The mirror is original to the piece. It has the manufacturer sticker on the back of it. The glass is original. So it is like bubbly, wavy. 1818.
Oh, yeah.
With the original mirror.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And it was his daughter's?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I brought this beautiful piece of furniture home to my home. And almost immediately, I would see things in this mirror.
That would freak me the hell out.
And it was like corner of your eye, peripheral. You rationalize.
Yeah.
You rationalize it away. You rationalize it away. That I'm just losing my mind.
Yeah,
it's a mirror though, so like you could convince yourself it's a reflection of something.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then my children
would see stuff.
And over time, it began to see people.
Oh, wow.
Dead people we know.
Wow. You still have the mirror?
I do.
I'm like, I gotta look through that mirror and
I do.
freak myself out.
I do. I do still have the.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, I do. But I had someone staying with me that said that they saw their deceased parent in the mirror. Yeah.
I'm like freaked out about that. That's
Yeah.
so crazy.
I have myself and one of my children, my daughter, has seen another deceased relative in this mirror. I used to keep it, and I think I've owned it. Gosh, I'm not sure how long I've owned it. I've owned it a while. I just keep bringing it with me wherever I go. But I kind of joked that it's the dead people mirror.
Yeah, it's like.
And I did legitimately used to have it in my bedroom.
It's what, babe. I don't know
and
if this is the right term for it, like a conduit type item.
Yeah. I've never seriously addressed it. I kind of joke with it sometimes if I'm missing jewelry for whatever reason, because I usually do the jewelry on it. I will joke to, hey, dead guys, can I have this piece of jewelry back? I will kind of joke about that.
Yeah.
But I've never addressed it. I've never had it tested, anything like that.
Oh, that's interesting. I never even thought test it for, I don't know.
Yeah, put a spirit box or
instrument
EMF reader or something like that. I've never done that. We definitely need to do that.
Yeah, that's definitely a video. I think you guys probably agree. That's definitely a video. Because I feel like you're more open to just supernatural, just the unexplained. I'm more of closed off to that because I'm well, I don't want to open, I don't want to open a pathway or a doorway within myself that's been probably closed off since I was pretty much young, you know?
Yeah.
Like I said, even the incident when I saw my sister-in-law, her dad, I was aware that he was missing or something was happening.
Right.
If I was, then
scared
that would have scared the crap out of me. I feel sometimes your awareness and your openness is something that you're not thinking about, right? Yeah. You're not trying to channel things or open your mind to things. necessarily. It just is. That's how some people are just
Yeah, I agree.
open to stuff, and
I
some
agree.
people are just not.
Yeah, I agree.
So yeah.
Let's see. I've seen Satan, or what I perceived as Satan.
Okay.
I had when one of my children was brand new.
Mm-hmm.
I was very active in my church at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a brand new baby. I don't know if the baby was even 2 months old.
Yeah.
But it was in my bedroom, in the bassinet, like just across from my bed, right? I had woke up in the middle of the night, and where I lived at that point, my bed was against the wall, so I slept against the wall, and then my spouse was on the outside of the bed. Okay, and then the bassinet, was 4 feet maybe away from the edge of the bed. So I woke up. The baby was not crying. The baby was not awake. I had just woken up in the middle of the night, and I sat up. I don't even know why. Looked over at the bassinet, and there was this thing. I don't even know really how. I really felt in that moment it was Satan. I don't know why.
Yeah. Just a dark energy.
Yeah, but it was almost human form. I got the impression that it was pretty tall. It was standing at the foot of the bassinet.
Okay.
But it wasn't on the ground. It wasn't touching the floor. So it was levitating off the floor, maybe a foot and a half. And I definitely got the impression that it was not allowed to touch the ground.
Interesting.
I don't know if I felt like there was some God energy, something holy, that it wasn't allowed to place its feet on the ground. But it was bent at a 90-degree angle.
Mm-hmm.
So it was levitating off the ground maybe a foot. It had legs. It was bent at the hips at a complete 90-degree angle. Which, like, when you bend over, you're not necessarily at a 90-degree angle.
Yeah.
But it was bent at a 90-degree angle, and it was facing down onto my infant. I don't know if it sensed that I had woke up or sat up. But so it's bent at this 90-degree angle, facing down. And just like the head slowly turned and made eye contact with me.
Oh.
And it did not speak.
Freak me out.
It did not speak. But I heard it say, "Someday this is going to be mine." And I screamed out loud, "No, it's not." Woke, like this, my screaming woke my spouse and my infant. So my spouse jerks up, is like, "What's going on?" My infant starts screaming bloody murder. And I was so shook that I made my spouse call our pastor. And our pastor came in the middle of the night and blessed our home.
That's crazy. Like I said, we're just like talking about stories. Like, that's like, you never shared that with me. That's that would freak me out. I would be very freaked out. Like, I have my stories are very faint, I think.
It was terrifying.
Like I say, you're definitely, I feel like you're more open to that type of stuff. I'm more closed off. Like, I don't have any type of that would freak me out.
It was terrifying. I probably haven't told you that story because it has such a religious piece to it.
Yeah, I'm not super religious. I'm more spiritual than
and that's kind of where I am now.
Which, that's fine. It's religion, hey, I brace everything,
I don't know where I stand on a lot of those things, but I know where I was in that moment.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
And in that moment, that was definitely my life. I definitely felt like it was spiritual warfare, if you understand what that term means.
No, yeah, that makes sense.
So I don't know now where I'm at in my life now. I'm not positive of how much of an experience that was. or how much of it was more fear-induced something. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I believed what happened. Do I believe that's what it was now? I'm not sure. I don't know where I stand on a lot of things in that realm.
No, that makes sense.
In the sense of, do I believe there's things out there that we can't see?
Yeah, for
Yes.
sure. Like, same here.
Yes.
Like, I believe, like, I'm more, like I said, like, impact, like, I feel stuff. I feel energies and stuff. Like I said, when my uncle died, before I was, like, even born, like, the spot where he died, I would always be, like, freaked out about it. Like, I would always feel, like, cold, or, like, it was just, like, an area that I just didn't really, like, you
Super
know.
uncomfortable.
Yeah, it was uncomfortable. So, like, I've always been like that. Even, like, when I dream, like, this is something I told you about. When I dream, I've had, like, a lot of dreams where I would hear a knock at the door that would be so loud. I would wake up and I would open my door because it was just so loud that it felt real, and it was, like, bringing me out of, you know, my dream space. And I'm like, you know, you never know. I'm like, is it a doorway to something else that, like,
right? Yeah.
In my dream, you know, I'm very much like, you know, you're open to stuff, like, versus when you're awake, like, you're closed off. But when you're dreaming, it's like you open yourself up, and you just don't know. Yeah. So I'm like, I've had a lot of stuff like that happen that it's, like, very much like, I'm like, okay, like, this is, like, weird. I'm like, I don't know how to define it. Like, I've seen, like, a lot of stuff, like you said, like, the corner of my eye type stuff, but, like, I'm a rational person, like, okay, whatever. But that's just my experience with stuff. And I feel like there's so much stuff that we don't know. And
I totally agree, yeah.
That, like, if you're open to it, like, you dive into that type of stuff. And I'm like, as you get older, I feel like you do, like, from a young age, you're already open, right? Because you're just innocent. As you get older, you kind of close stuff off. But I feel like as you, like, get wiser, you're kind of like, well, let me just see, like, you know, like, why close yourself off completely? You might as well try to, like, understand what you don't know.
I agree.
And that's kind of where I'm at. I'm trying to understand what I don't know or can't explain.
Yeah, I agree. I'm very interested in what's out there and what can be seen and heard, and yeah, I think there's a lot to explore out there for sure.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of like a reason why, like, we made this, like, channel or whatever. Kind of like to, like, tip a toe in, or stick a toe in to like things that we don't, you know, may not understand or know, that we're like, okay, let's, like, you gotta kind of put yourself out there a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, even if it's a little scary.
And there's nothing wrong with being scared. Keeps you awake. Keeps you alive.
Yeah.
But there's lots of people on this platform and other platforms that have gone out and checked out things, and I myself have been an avid watcher of that kind of stuff. So I'm super excited to check it out for myself.
See what's next.
Right? Yeah. You know,
next adventure type thing.
Give a big shout out, a big nod to, like, Ghost Adventures.
Yeah.
Paranormal State back in the day. That was a really good one. You know, we watched a lot of Sam and Colby. And there's tons more we watch too. But, like, it's super incredible to watch their experiences. But we're excited for our own experiences too. We're ready
for them. Like, if you guys got suggestions of, like, okay, this place, like, we're open to, like, okay,
for sure.
Knowledge is power. The more you know, type of thing.
Absolutely.
So we're definitely, like, I'm definitely ready.
Me too. Me too. I'm ready to dive right in. And
I'm saying this now, but when I'm like, oh my god,
I know we've got this is kind of the precursor. We got some fun stuff planned out for you guys. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I
All
think
right.
this is a pretty good video.
Yeah, thanks for coming along, friends.
Yeah.
This was a good time.
Yeah,
and
for sure. You kind of got a little background of
why we're interested in what we're interested in.
pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
All right. I think we're done. I think
We're
that's it.
done. Have a wonderful one.